When you look at smart homes in 2026, things feel more settled, but at the same time more technical underneath. It is less about picking a brand and more about how devices connect and behave long term. Because of that, Matter, Zigbee, and Wi-Fi are not just options. They define performance, reliability, and even battery life in your setup. So rather than comparing specs on paper, let's look at how they actually behave when you live with them every day. Let's get started. So starting with Matter, this is more like a universal layer rather than a connection itself. It runs over IP, usually IPv6, and most commonly over Thread, which uses the 2.4 GHz IEEE 802.1 5.4 radio. That already puts it in a low power category similar to Zigbee, but with a more modern structure. Now one of the biggest features here is multi-admin. That means a device like the Eve Energy Smart Plug can sit inside Apple Home, Google Home, and Alexa at the same time. No need to reset or switch ecosystems. Latency is also very controlled here. In real use, commands stay under 50 milliseconds because everything runs locally. So when you tap a Nanoleaf Essentials bulb, it responds instantly without cloud delay. Now for hardware, you do need a Thread border router. Devices like Apple HomePod, Echo Show 8, or even newer Samsung TVs already include that. So in many homes, you might already have what you need. Battery life is decent too. For example, something like an Eve door sensor runs close to 2 years on a CR2032 battery. Not the absolute best, but still very practical. Now the honest part, Matter 1.4 added support for more categories like robot vacuums, dishwashers, and energy monitoring, which is a big step. Still, not every brand feels fully optimized yet, so experience can vary depending on the device. Now moving to Zigbee, this one is built on the same 2.4 GHz IEEE 802.1 5.4 radio, but it uses a non-IP mesh network. That difference matters because everything stays local and very efficient. Zigbee networks are self-healing, so if one device drops, the signal reroutes automatically through other devices. That makes it very stable for larger homes. Latency is also under 50 milliseconds, similar to Matter over Thread. So in real use, lights turn on instantly, and motion sensors react without delay. Battery life is where Zigbee really pulls ahead. A device like an Aqara door sensor can last up to 3 years on a small coin battery. That is a big deal if you have a lot of sensors around the house. Now looking at actual products, Philips Hue lighting still runs on Zigbee, and it is one of the most stable lighting systems out there. IKEA smart lamps and Aqara sensors also use Zigbee, and they scale really well across dozens of devices. You also get hubs like the Aqara Hub M3, which can handle around 100 to 120 devices and even bridge Zigbee into Matter. That makes it easier to combine old and new systems. The downside is pretty clear though. You need that hub, and without bridging, ecosystems can feel a bit locked. Still, for reliability and battery efficiency, Zigbee remains one of the strongest options. Now coming to Wi-Fi, this is based on IEEE 802.11 and it runs directly over your home network. No hub, no extra layer, which is why it feels so easy to start with. Devices like TP-Link Kasa smart plugs, Wyze Cam V4 with 4K video, and Roborock Qrevo vacuums all rely on Wi-Fi because they need higher bandwidth. That is where Wi-Fi actually makes sense. Cameras, smart displays, and streaming devices need constant data flow, and Zigbee or Thread cannot handle that. But then comes the trade-off. Latency is usually higher, around 100 to 500 milliseconds, especially when devices depend on cloud servers. So sometimes you tap a light, and there is a slight delay. Network load is another factor. Every device connects to your router directly, so if you have 40 or 50 devices, plus phones and laptops, congestion starts to build. That is when you see devices go offline randomly. Battery life is also weaker here. A Wi-Fi sensor may last around 4 to 6 months, which means more maintenance over time. So when you bring all of this together, the experience becomes clearer. Zigbee and Matter over Thread feel more responsive because they process everything locally. That sub 50 millisecond response is noticeable when you use motion lights or switches. Wi-Fi feels fine at first, but as more devices get added, delays and connection drops become more common. At the same time, battery-powered setups clearly favor Zigbee, with Matter getting close behind. At this point, it is less about choosing one and more about using each where it fits best. Matter gives you flexibility and long-term compatibility. Zigbee gives you reliability and strong battery life. Wi-Fi gives you bandwidth for cameras and displays. Well, most setups now follow a hybrid approach. Use Wi-Fi where data is heavy, use Zigbee for sensors and lighting, and bring everything together through Matter where possible. So instead of trying to pick a winner, it helps to think in layers. Once you build around that idea, your smart home feels less technical and more like something that just works in the background. That was all. Thanks for watching. Share your thoughts in the comments. And if you found this helpful, give it a like and subscribe for more reviews and comparisons.